today we're gonna make a very flavorful and one of the most popular Persian dishes. It's simple enough that you can make it for your family dinner, and it's elegant enough to make it for your parties. It's called Zereshk Polo. So Zereshk means wild barberries and polo means rice. We're going to use basmati rice today. Iran has one of the best type of rice, but unfortunately it's not enough for export. So if you can get your hand on any sort of basmati rice, or if you can find long grain jasmine rice, that will do. So I'm using basmati rice today. With basmati rice, the way we Persians do it is that we like it to be soaked a little bit. It makes the rice fluffy and it stops the rice from getting soggy, and the best way to do it is just to soak the rice and let it sit for at least 2 hours. Some people do it overnight. I've done it and it works fine. But just make sure you give it at least an hour or two, and that makes the rice so much better. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start washing the rice. So maybe give it a couple of washes until the water runs clear, and then you're good to go. Just put maybe 2 inches of more water and just let it sit for 2 hours, and then we're good to go. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to prepare your saffron. So the way we Persians do it is that we actually brew saffron. So that means that you just need a pinch of saffron, and then we're going to grind it. So it's a very simple way of doing it, but you just have to be really careful in handling saffron because you know it's very precious. So now that we've got our saffron, I just start grinding it. And sometimes if you find it hard, you can add a little bit of sugar or salt to your saffron. It helps with the grinding. It just makes the process easier, but I prefer just to put more work into it and get the pure flavor. So the finer you try to grind it, the more color it gives to the food. So just try to grind it as finely as you can, and then it should be all good. So once you got your saffron grinded, all you need to do is that you put it in a glass jar or just a normal glass, and you just put the saffron in there and add a little bit of hot water. Maybe 1/4 of a cup should be enough. You don't need much water. The less water you put is actually better because it gives you more color and the flavor is more intense, and then you can just put as much as you want to the food. Once you did that, all you need to do is to cover the cup and leave it for at least 15 minutes. And during that 15 minutes, you can see that how that beautiful color is coming out of saffron. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to cover my cup and leave it to rest for 10-15 minutes, and then I'll come back to it. Now we're going to get started with the ingredients, and I'll show you what things we need for today's cooking. Okay, so to start with, we're going to need 2 chopped onions. So just put the chopped onions in the pan and just fry them a little bit. Give it 2-3 minutes until they start to get golden brown. Okay, so once we've got like light brown onions, we're gonna add our chicken. You can use whatever chicken piece you like. I prefer chicken thighs because it's moist. If you're using chicken breast, just be mindful that it might get a bit dry. So add your chickens in. We want the chicken to have the beautiful golden color. So just take your time and maybe flip over every 2 minutes just to make sure both sides get beautiful color. Okay, so once you've got your chicken nice and brown, you're gonna need to add some of the spices. So we're going to add a little bit of turmeric. So turmeric is a very flavorful and strong spice. It is actually gives your food like a next level flavor, but it also can get a bit strong. If you haven't used turmeric before, just go a little and taste it. The next spice that we're going to use, paprika. So I prefer to use sweet paprika, but you can use smoked as well if you like. So I'm just going to add 1 teaspoon. So I'm just going to add a little salt to it and a little bit of pepper. Now give everything a good stir, because this is the part that all our flavors and all our spices gonna just mix together and give that beautiful flavor to the chicken. Okay, the next part is adding a little bit of tomato sauce. So we just don't want to overpower the food with tomato sauce, because the actual beautiful flavor should be from this saffron. So maybe just add 1 or 2 tablespoons. Don't use anything more than that. And what you need from tomato paste is that you want to give it a good stir. Let it just kind of mix with all the ingredients. Make sure you've got a bit of oil in the pan, and as you go, you can smell that it's starting to cook beautifully. You can smell it. Okay, now it's time to add capsicum to the pan. So I'm going to add the capsicum, give it a bit of stir, make sure they're mixed well. Capsicum doesn't need much of cooking, so we straight away add the carrot in. And again, give it a good stir. Now we've got all our vegetables in the dish. Okay, now it's the magic part. Guess now, it's time for saffron. So this is our magic ingredient today. And we've prepared saffron, and now it's time to add it to the chicken. I know saffron is expensive, I know that, but it's going to do the magic, so be generous when you want to use saffron. So I'm going to just add the saffron to the pot and just make sure that all the chicken are kind of mixed really well with saffron, and it's got that beautiful intense red color. The flavor is amazing. Okay, so once you know that you've got enough saffron, once you're happy with the color and you can smell it and you're happy with the aroma, you can just add a little bit of water. We don't need much, so maybe a cup and a half, and then put the lid on and let it just mingle all the flavors together and just bring out that beautiful saffron and spices flavor. So I've got 4 cups of rice. For 4 cups of rice, we need double the water. So we need 8 cups of water. So I've put the water in a big pot. You need to make sure your pot is a good size, because the rice is going to get fluffier as it boils in the water. So we bring the water to the boil, and then we add 2 tablespoons of salt. Don't worry about the salt, because we're going to drain the whole water right at the end. So the salt actually helps to give a bit of flavor to the rice. So now I'm going to add my rice to the boiling water. And from now you need to time probably about 6 minutes. So once you hit the 6 minutes, you need to start testing your rice. So usually 6 to 8 minutes is what you need. So just give it a bit of stir, just to make sure that it's kind of boiling nicely and evenly. Alright, so 6 minutes up. Now what we need to do is that we need to test the rice. So all you need to do is just to get a little bit of rice, just squeeze it in between your fingers, and it should be soft outside but still a little bit hard inside. So it's about 80 to 85% cooked. That's when your rice is ready to be drained. So now that we drained the rice, we need to bring it back to the pot. So this is the most exciting part of making rice, Persian way, because the way we make rice is that we make it so it kind of have a crispy golden base, and we call it tadig. That means bottom of the pot. So I'm going to show you how you make it, and this is something that as a child all of us were just fighting over it, and I still do sometimes just to get my bit. So what you need is that you need to put a little bit of oil down the bottom, and then we're gonna add around 2 tablespoons of yogurt, and then we mix it together, give it a good stir. And then again, we go to our magic spice. We need a little bit of saffron, and that's what makes it really nice and golden. So I'm gonna add about 2 teaspoons of saffron. You can go 3 if you want. The more, the better. So give it a good stir, mix it a little bit. And then what we're gonna do is that we're gonna add the rice to the pot. Now that we've added the rice, all we need to do is to cover the pot. And what I usually do is that I put a couple of paper towel under the lid, and what it does is that as the rice starts to steam and forms water under the lid, it stops the water to drain back to the pot. And if you don't do that, you might end up getting soggy rice, and that's what we don't want. We want it to be nice and fluffy. So once you did that, you just put it on the stove, 5 minutes on high heat, and then give it a good 25 to 30 minutes. Okay, so this is the most exciting part of preparing this dish, because we're gonna use the beautiful colors and great crunch for our rice. So you're gonna need a pan, and put a little bit of oil in the pan. And what we're gonna add first is our barberries. So barberries burn really quick. So just make sure that the heat is pretty low. We don't want the oil to be really hot. So I'm just gonna add barberries to the pan. So what we want from barberries is that we want them to be shiny and a little bit puffy. So as soon as they start to get shiny and change the color a little bit, they're done. They burn really quick, so you don't want to do that. So once you think that your barberries are ready, you're gonna add 2 teaspoons of sugar. So barberries are really sour. If you prefer them sour, we can just go without adding sugar, but I like a bit of sugar, and that makes it really sweet and sour and really nice. So once you added the sugar, it's time to add almonds and pistachios. So I'm using slivered almonds and pistachios. You can find them in supermarkets, and if not, you can just chop them yourself. So after you add almonds and pistachios, you don't need much. Just give it a stir, make sure everything is mixed well, and turn off the heat. Okay, so our chicken is ready. You can see the beautiful color of saffron, and it smells amazing. So At this stage, you're gonna add a bit of our lemon juice. So maybe just a squeeze. It depends how sour you like it. I usually add 1 lemon. So just squeeze a bit of lemon on top and your beautiful saffron chicken is ready to be served. We've got our dish all ready and plated up. As you can see, it looks great and it smells so good. You can smell all the spices, you can smell saffron, you can see all the beautiful colors of the rice, and this is the dish that is very close to most Persian hearts, and it is a dish that we grew up eating, and I hope you give it a go and you enjoy making it and enjoy it with your family and friends.